Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends. It's the House of the Unusual podcast. Joe Pavlansky. With me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara, and that horror magician extraordinaire, Chuck Caputo. Gentlemen, welcome once again.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we've had some
Thank
interesting things going on today, but first we're going to start off with Chuck and see what's new with him, what's going on in his world. So what's up, Chuck?
All right, how's everybody going? Doing pretty good, Joe. I've been doing a lot of shows. A couple shows have canceled because of the new Omicron variant, but overall keeping pretty busy for the month of January. I've been building some things in my spare time and catching up on some old movies. And the one thing I've been watching a lot is Unsolved Mysteries. I always liked that TV program. You know what? I kind of like the original one with Robert Stack.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I know about maybe 12, 14 years ago, they made one with Dennis Farina hosted it. And I think even Netflix came out with a version maybe like about a year or two ago. But I kind of like the original ones. Man, there's a million seasons of them, and it brings back memories. It's a fantastic series.
Oh, absolutely. I remember watching that sitting around at my grandmother's house in front of her, giant 19-inch Zenith, with the wooden box frame, and hoping that the antenna would come in so we could get the show up. But man, those were great with Robert Stack. Those were definitely the best.
Yeah, you know what? And he covers a bunch of subjects. It's not just things that are unsolved. I mean, it deals with sometimes UFO phenomenon, Bigfoot. I watched the one on Kecksburg, which is not far from where I am. That's near Greensburg, Pennsylvania. As a matter of fact, I actually went out there about 3 summers ago. They have an annual festival out there, and the actual spaceship that they have built, supposedly landed there, looked like a big acorn. It was built by Unsolved Mysteries. They actually constructed it out of fiberglass back when they did the special. And they asked the people, well, you know what, would you like to have this? And so they said, yeah. So now it's out there under the annual festival out there. It's actually probably about 9 feet tall. It looks like an acorn type of thing, and it's pretty cool. So you can stand next to it and get your picture taken and everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Eddie, what's new with you? I know you've had a crazy day.
Before, yeah, it's been a crazy day. But you know what it is, guys? Somebody told me something way back, which is very, very good to hear. And that is 2 things. One, they said, be careful if you're ever friends with Dave Harborsat, the magician, Chuck Caputo, but worst of all, David Copperfield. They said, if you ever befriend him, he's good at making things disappear. So I tried today, and my wife took my brand new 2022 Honda Accord to the Burlington, parked it right in the front of the store, around the corner actually, and David Copperfield made the darn thing disappear. In less than an hour, it was gone, man.
Oh my goodness.
Completely gone. Now, why am I excited about this? Because, I'm a man that likes old films and old stuff. And I got a friend who just decided to sell me a van for $500. And you know what? Since I like retro stuff, I'm going to get the van. So I downgraded to a premium thing, which is a van that now, like Jim, my friend says, Jim and Charlie are telling me, we got to paint the mutant in there, the mutant with the professional legs, the professional business attire, the pants, from this planet Earth.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put the mutant on it with pants. So anybody that sees out there will remember the guy with the mutant who drives around with the mutant that's wearing pants. Now, now the thing is that the car, which is kind of funny, would I be mad? Yeah, but you know what? Let's put it this way. It disappeared. It was a magic trick. And the best part is that, the guy couldn't get it back for me. So that's the story for me today. Talking about a crazy day, huh?
Oh,
yeah,
that's a shame. Oh.
Yeah, hopefully it reappears, man.
Not really. Now that they took it, I'm hoping it don't. Because if they reappear, they're gonna make me keep that junk. And by now, it's probably back in the old days in New York City when I used to live in Manhattan, and you got up in the morning, 2 things were gone: your battery
Yeah.
or you had your car in four bricks, cinder
Yeah.
block.
Yeah. That's
And
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's probably in a chop shop or something. Who knows? Oh
you,
man.
it probably is. But you know what I find it funny though, that of all the neighborhoods, in New Jersey, I work in one that's pretty, so, and it's known to be the neighborhood I work in has been known to have the most stolen vehicles in the state of New Jersey.
Oh
And
wow.
that car is parked there day after day for the last month, and no one's bothered with it. When it goes to a nice clean cut place, a nice area, the car disappears, and it was one of David Blaine's best magic tricks.
Oh man.
It happened within an hour, man. But anyway, as the
That's
saying
crazy.
says, hey,
Well, hey, before we get into our discussion today, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few of the friends of the House of the Unusual. Man, I was looking over at the Sea Monkeys website, and I kind of stumbled on something I think I'm going to need to order. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but they have the 2022 Sea Monkeys calendar up, and each month it features some different artwork, and it's really cool the way it's put together. I'm wondering if our buddy Todd Machin, had a hand in designing some of it, because it's really really cool on how they did it. Um,
Joe, before you keep on, I'm just going to say something to add to that commercial there you got. Is Mr. Todd Machin didn't only just make that calendar, which he designed, he also helped design a whole new X-ray glasses. And since the invention of the X-ray glasses, the cardboard for it have never been redesigned. He did a job that, boy, left me crying in envy of how bad I wanted those glasses now. But I just want to let you know that he also designed everything for the Sea Monkeys right now is designed by him. The calendar, the new mug, and they also did a brand new Sea Monkey, I think, for the UK, all designed by him, and can be found on the website House of the Unusual, Gullibles Babble. That part of the website could be found, and you can see pictures of the new creation from none other than the King Monkey himself. I mean, the King of Sea Monkeys, not the King Monkey, although he is a Sea Monkey King. Mr. Todd Machin.
Yeah, it's definitely some great artwork, man. They also have a really cool Sea Monkeys puzzle with the artwork is fantastic. So if anybody out there is interested and wants to upgrade or start their Sea Monkey adventures, head over to sea-monkeys.com, and that's where you'll find all your underwater needs, man. It is a great site with some fantastic items on there. Also, Scary Monsters number 124 is still shipping, and if you go on mymoviemonsters.com, you have a chance to get both covers on there. So you could get The Thing from 1951 and The Thing from 1982 cover, and they're both by Scott Jackson and look absolutely fantastic. He always does a bang-up job. And you could also get both books bagged and boarded too for, I believe it's $1 extra, so great price. So definitely head over there and check them out. Support the friends of our podcast and the House of the Unusual, because that's what we're all about. Also, real quick, too, just want to let everyone know that you could find our flagship website over at houseoftheunusual.com. We have a sweet forum site up there, man. There's always some great posts going up there of people's collections, stuff they're looking for, and finds and all that. And also head over to YouTube. Just type in House of the Unusual. You'll see us up there. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos. I think the last one up there was a Chuck's Corner Movie Magic special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck's always got some great videos up there, and there's plenty of stuff for everyone on there. So check out the website, subscribe, and do all that great stuff that you do on YouTube. We're at 813 subscribers right now, and we want to hit over 1,000. So let's do a big push, man. Let your friends out there know about House of the Unusual on YouTube and have them subscribe as well, and help us to get up over 1,000 so we could start doing a little bit more on there and bring you guys some more House of the Unusual goodness. So that's all we got for our little plugs today. So what do you guys want to talk about today? We kind of discussed before, and I said, hey, let's leave it open and just wing it a little bit.
Let me just bring in also our friends from Stupid Comics. This gentleman keeps running ads for us in his comic book. That's STOOPID, correct, Joe?
Yes. Yes.
And it's very important. And also Dave Haversack with 1878 Press. He's actually published a new book. I think it's concerning carnivals and circus.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it actually is a pretty good book. I saw on it the other day that I think he was going to be publishing it soon. And guys, get ready for this. Mr. Chuck Caputo, the legendary magician, known worldwide, even in the other part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay? He's putting together, and he's done already 10 courses. It's going to be a 30-course magic class that will teach you horror magic, not just regular magic, but scary magic, not being taught by anyone. And each individual lesson is half an hour long and will be available through Udemy. Now, Udemy is the site where you can take classes and courses online. It's going to be available there. As soon as Chuck is finished with the course, it's going to be uploaded. So keep an eye for that, whoever's listening. And also,
hey, real quick too. I just seen on Stupid that he posted that they're going to be having another issue coming out very soon. So definitely excited about that. So make sure you guys keep checking on that and let everyone know when that new issue comes up.
Now, when you're talking about the thing from another world, you have an article in there, Joe, correctly?
Yeah, for that 124 issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In that article, just that thing from the other world. Do you know if that might have been the one that abducted my car?
It could have been, man. It might have been a thing for maybe you. There was some aliens up in space, and they said, "Oh, there's a model kit in that trunk, but we can't pull it out. So let's just take the whole car, take the model kit out, and then return the car."
Yeah, they beamed it up. They shot a beam down and made it levitate.
And it's gone, man. But I got to tell you something too. This is a funny story, and this is now mail order. Now we're going back in the days when mail order, they offered a lot of scams, which are still going today. But the best ones back in the day were like, let's say you order a genuine clothesline dryer powered by the sun. I mean, clothes dryer, not clothesline. And then the person would send 1098 and they get a clothesline, like one of those ropes. But it's powered by the sun, uses no electricity, Or if not, the very famous one, I forgot what year it happened in, you get a genuine Franklin minted Abraham Lincoln portrait. And then the person would buy it and they would get a 1-cent stamp.
Oh,
and, those are classic. But I got to tell you guys about one that just recently happened to me. And I got kind of mad when it happened, but I thought, you know what? When you look at things on eBay, anytime they're showing things, people, and this is just common sense with everybody, they look at the photograph and they figure that's what I'm getting, and they don't read the description, especially if you're using an iPhone or you're using any type of Android phone, whatever. When the description comes in, you got to scroll down, and sometimes you can't even find it. And you have to hit a link for the description of the product. So you're going with what it says in the instructions. Now, anytime you buy something like a television, it'll say JVC or whatever TV, Hisense or Vizio, plus instructions, right? It'll say on the line and top a lot of times. Well, somebody took an item that's sold in Disneyland and Walt Disney World in Florida, and it's called the Haunted Mansion Secret Chest. It's a little jewelry box that has an opening where you can actually pull it out on the side and whatever. So about a year ago when I went down there, they were still selling them, I believe, in the shop that's by the Haunted Mansion. And they were like, I think it was either $29.95 or $19.95. I think there was a misprice in one, so they gave them to me for $19.95, and I bought two. I look at eBay, and here's a guy who's selling the thing, but what he does is he makes a photocopy of the instructions. Now, the photocopy itself is about 5x7, 5 inch, but it's on a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of standard letter size. And he puts the sheet on the ground, and then he puts on top of the sheet the case, the Disney secret box, and then he puts eBay copy across like the bottom instructions. So when I see this, it says on the thing on top, Walt Disney secret chest with secret compartment instructions. But the way they abbreviate it kind of looked like it said you're getting the box with the instructions, and it's $5.95 free shipping. So I'm like, wow, what a bargain. So what do? I buy two, and then I said, you know what? At that price, it's nice because I like the item, and I paid 20, whatever. So I go ahead and I purchase. Lo and behold, a week later, I opened the envelope, and what this guy sold me for $6 was a photocopy of the instructions, which was 5x7 on the thing. So he sends me two photographs, and then I get another one with 5 more. Now this guy just charged me $50 for 7 pieces of paper with a miniature instruction, which is not even a good photocopy because to make a long story short, you ever seen that Bugs Bunny picture when they do something and their face turns into a lollipop? And that's exactly what I did, my friend. So it gave a new name to mail fraud, in my opinion.
Wow.
And I wrote the guy, and the guy says to me, hey, it's written in the descriptions and instruction. But I was like, dude, that if you're selling instructions for something like that, like when I do something, I'll put the item on the side and then put the instructions leading on the item, and I'll put instruction sheet for rare, haunted, whatever.
Right.
But if you put instructions at the end of the sentence, you're kind of using the old technique of you're tricking the person into thinking they're getting something different.
Absolutely.
And whammo, he got me. So
Wow.
Anyway, I put in a claim, and of course, eBay, I sent it back to him today. But I'm saying to myself, oh my God, wow. I can't believe I fell for that.
Well, I tell you what, Eddie, is that if you send me $10.99, I will tell you how to save tens of thousands of dollars a year, and you could still get from point A to B without having a car, a plane, a bus. Save money on gas, electric, and all those car bills and car payments. You won't need none of that. And then I'll send you a little envelope with a picture of a guy walking.
That's pretty good. You know what? All that stuff reminds me of P.T. Barnum. You know what? I've always been a big fan of P.T. Barnum, and I read his book, Struggles and Triumphs. And I tell you what, he gives a lot of ideas that he used to pull like that. He'd give out little novelties. One thing, he had a stamped little envelope, little coin envelope. It would say "World's Smallest Wind Instrument." Okay, and then when you tear it open, you dump it out. There was a little lima bean. It was a dry lima bean in there. Wind instrument.
That's great.
Yeah, that was a classic. But, yeah, but he was the king of that stuff, man. At his at his American Museum out in New York City, he was tired of people that would bring picnic baskets, and they would hang out there all day. Yeah, so he actually had a sign painter paint on the door, to the egress. And so what people thought was that was an exhibit. Of course, that means exit. And so when people would go out the door, it was spring loaded. It would slam shut, and they would be outside in the parking lot. Yeah,
that's a new way of throwing people out of your house, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was something, man. But that's exactly what this stuff reminds me of, an old P.T. Barnum gag.
Well, P.T. Barnum, I think his best one was when he took a skull of a monkey and the body of a fish, and he shoved it one inside the other.
Right.
And they sold it as the Fiji mermaid.
Fiji mermaid. Yep. He came up with 1 million of them, man. How about the Cardiff Giant? It was a big cement outline of a giant that they supposedly dug up, and it was just cement. It was just cement. He was something. He said, "A sucker's born every minute." That's exactly what his philosophy was.
Yeah, ain't that true?
Yeah, well, the thing overall is, you see, when you see anything like that, especially in a situation like what they did to me in eBay this week, which, when I look at the whole thing, you got a car stolen, but I go, God, Jesus, please help me here and make sure all the things happen. But the thing I can tell you is I've had some good news in my personal life. So
that's right.
I'm blessed that way. So I'm glad, whatever. I don't.
That's right. Hey, the bottom line,
no
a car is only a car, Eddie. Thank God you have your health. You have your health. Your family has their health. I mean, that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. And even with the health is, that at least you have a good plan in how to take care of it. But you know what? The best thing is, this is the way I look at it. Well, I have a less payment to do now. So in a sense, it's good in that way. But what I was going to say to you guys, though, is and this is very interesting too. When we look at things like P.T. Barnum and stuff, and all the stuff that follow after, because you know how many people copied him, how many people have gone out there, made fortunes of,
Oh yeah.
crazy things like that. And one of, and I think, Joe, you might be familiar. You ever walk, Joe, through the streets, I guess, of up where you're at in Ohio, whatever? You ever gone to like those big places like Atlantic City, places where you always have those people playing the cards
Oh,
and
the
they're
three card,
betting you in?
three
There's like a
card,
three.
three
Yeah.
card Monty. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the people, they always like, I have $10 here, and the guy has like all this money, and he swings the cards around and stuff.
Oh, that's a sucker's game, man. And they got a shield. They always have somebody working for them too. I mean, that's a sucker's game, man. You're never gonna win. You're never gonna win.
That's almost like, what is it? The 3 cup with the ball.
Yeah, well, there's a shell game too, where you got the 3 walnut shells with the little pea under it. It's all sleight of hand, man. You know what? It's how you use it. I mean, people I've seen do it so well on the 3 card Monty, they could actually bend one of the the actual corner of the card, so you swear that's the card you're following. But in the process of tossing it, the third finger bends that fold down, while the other finger on the other hand bends another one up. So it's just all sleight of hand. You're never going to win, man. Even if you pick the right card, there's a move called the Mexican turnover, where you use another card to flip that card over, and you switch them right in front of their
those
face.
darn Mexicans.
Yeah, so yeah, so you're never going to win, man. Worst comes to worst, they pick up their little cardboard table, put it under their arm, and they run like hell. If they do get busted or if they get intimidated, then they run.
In New York, that was very famous, especially where I used to live in Manhattan. Everywhere you went, 42nd Street, which is, Port Authority, not the Port Authority, the Times Square.
Yeah.
You always saw those guys. But I got a kick out of the other day. I was watching. If you guys, now everybody I'm sure gets Pluto TV.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's our favorite, where we can watch classics like The Addams Family.
Yeah.
And Joe gets to watch all his classics from the 1940s.
Oh,
I tell you what, that's probably, out of all the streamings that I have, is I watch Pluto more than anything, because there's always something on there that I mean, it's great. Pluto's great.
It is. And if you guys look up in Pluto TV, the Abbot and Costello Colgate Comedy Hour.
Oh yeah, I just watched that. I just watched one of those the other day. That was
okay. There is one that actually Mr. Fields and Costello are trying to raise money for, I think, the girl. I forgot the girl's name, the pretty girl in the show, and Abbott is doing that cup and ball thing, and he's got a basket under the table, and he's sticking this big lemons there, and he's going around and around. And it's so funny because in one of those things, Costello notices the lemons. He puts them all in his pockets, and then he puts like a giant ball. And Abbott, I had a kick out of that. He goes to Costello. Hey, Costello, you got 2 10s for a 5? And Costello goes, yeah, sure. And then he goes, wait a minute. That's not right, Abbott. And he goes, okay, give me back my 2 10s. Now here's your 5 again. What's the problem?
That's hilarious.
So he basically takes $40 from Costello, and then Costello goes, oh, that's how it works, Because first he goes, let me have 2 10s for a 5. Costello gives him the 2 10s, and then Costello complains, and Abbott goes, okay, give me back my 2 10s, and here's your 5 back, right? So now he's gone back and forth, and I didn't lose you, Joe, did I?
No. I'm listening.
That's some funny stuff, man.
So then the funny thing about it was that he tries to do it to Mr. Fields, and he goes, okay, Mr. Fields, give me 2 10s for a 5. And, he goes to Mr. Fields, I'll give you a 5 for 2 10s for a 5. And then he gives Mr. Field 2 more 10s, and Field goes, yeah, sure, gives him back the 5. And he's like, wait a minute.
Oh, I'd tell you, that was some good comedy. I always loved the Abbott Costello. I always liked the Three Stooges. Probably one of my favorites is the Marx Brothers. I always liked Harpo, man. The way he put his leg up on you when you'd be holding his leg, and it was just his expressions. Harpo was hilarious. Oh,
and he did it all with the horn. Remember, beep beep beep.
Yeah. Oh, he was hilarious. Oh, goodness. Wow.
How about you, Joe?
I tell you what, one of my favorite Abbott and Costello ones was remember the payphone gag, Alexander 4444?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She goes, "Oh, you mean Alexander 16?"
Yeah. That was
Alexander
hilarious.
4444, still busy. And she goes, "Oh, Alexander 16," and he's like, "Ah."
That was some funny stuff.
Oh my god! And then at the end, I like the way he takes a water bottle and shoots the phone, and the other
Yeah.
person gets wet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, but if you haven't, I don't know, Joe, have you ever seen all of the episodes?
No, I've only caught a few. I actually the only ones I've really ever seen if they've come on Pluto, and usually I catch them in the morning after work. If I'm, when I'm laying in bed, I'll throw it on and fall asleep and all that. But I've never really watched too much of the shows.
Well, here's the way in Pluto though. If you have, I don't know if you have a Fire TV or something like that from Amazon. Do you have Fire TV?
Yeah, the Fire Stick.
Yeah, I know you could. I think they have them on demand on there, so you could pull any of them up. Correct?
No. I was gonna say on Pluto TV, it's on demand. So actually, if you put on Pluto TV, Abbott and Costello Colgate Comedy Hour, or whatever, it tells you, and then you're able to pick which episode you want from the 2 seasons.
Nice.
So you can actually watch, because there's some of those that are so funny. There's one, like, for example, I think Abbott and Costello owed Mr. Fields 7 weeks rent or 7 months rent, and I think the rent was supposed to be $21 a month, and somehow he gives Mr. Field like $40-50. I forgot how the thing goes, and Mr. Field goes, wait a minute, he says 7 times 13. Yeah, no, 7 times 13 is 27. And so the way he does that is he'll write 13 7 times down. So then he goes 3, 6, 9, and then he counts 1, and it adds up to 27. Then he divides it and everything, and then Mr. Field, he gives Mr. Field the $27, which is supposed to be 13 weeks rent.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
That's hilarious, man. And you, I'm serious, Joe. Look at the show, watch all the episodes. You're really gonna enjoy it, because that's some of the funniest Abbott and Costello's. And one thing I was going to say about the episodes are that Mr. Fields kind of reminds me a little bit of Groucho Marx, because Groucho Marx will always have that snappy way of talking,
right,
coming back at you with those puns and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Field is phenomenal. Like, there's a part there that Costello's having a party, so Abbott tells him, "Are you going to invite Mr. Fields to the party?" And then he goes to Mr. Fields, "Hey, Mr. Fields, you want?" And he said, "Wait a minute. You're inviting me to the party. Why? Because you were not going to invite me to the party? How many people?" And then Costello goes, no, I want you to come to the party. What are you going to feed me? Well, you guys, so you're going to feed me something. And then I forget what he says. And he says, my sister. What is wrong with my sister? You don't like the way my sister looks? And that stuff. And then there's a part he says about the wife. And then he goes back to Costello. You mean to say my wife of 13 years, you're gonna, and then Costello goes, no, you can just, and then you want me to stay with that woman for more? How? No matter what Costello said, he came back at him. But it's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. Go ahead.
I tell you what, there was a few years ago, and I know they don't. At Monster Bash, there used to be these two guys that used to do Abbott and Costello impersonations. So it was Bill Riley used to do Bud Abbott, Joe Ziegler is Lou Costello, and then Jason Crutchley was Scoop Fields. And I tell you what, their performance was, it used to be the highlight of Monster Bash. And sadly, Joe Ziegler passed away a few years ago. So they couldn't do it anymore, obviously, but they would tour around the country and do their Abbott and Costello routine. And man, I tell you what, if you start watching it, and it is like you're back watching the real Abbott and Costello. They were that good.
Wow.
I mean, their timing and everything was just spot on. And you could still find some of their routines online. They were the ultimate Abbott and Costello tribute, and they were fantastic. I mean, they were the highlight of Monday. I used to catch them. They used to do, I think, 2 shows every weekend. And it was usually different every year. They would still always throw in the, of course, the Who's On First. But man, they were their timing was impeccable and
wow,
just fantastic. And like I said, Mr. Ziegler, he passed away, and so they had to stop doing it. But Absolutely. They look, I mean, they all look like the characters too.
Oh,
They were the characters.
that was the question I was had next. Did they also look like Bud Abbott, Lou Costello? Did they resemble them
Oh,
also?
Chuck, they were spot on. I mean, you would watch them and it was like you were actually watching Abbott and Costello.
Isn't that something?
Just,
Wow.
just fantastic. I'll try to find the video and send it to you guys, but
Yeah, I'd like to
they
check
were
that out.
amazing, man. I loved watching them. They were the highlight of Monster Bash, for me when I was there. I would catch them every time.
I have a feeling that I saw them many, many years ago. You know that?
They did Chiller and all that too. So you
They
might
did.
have
No wonder. Yeah.
yeah, because they were all over. Actually, I think one of them was from New Jersey and the other one was from or I'm sorry, Eastern Pennsylvania. They were kind of like in that area, and one of them, he was like a professor. I think it was Joe Ziegler. He was a professor at a college and all that, and he taught kind of like the improv and everything. And the other one, I believe, was a radio DJ. But man, they were like spot on. They were fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? You're exactly right about timing. When you do comedy, timing is one of the most important things. Throughout the years, I've worked with a lot of different comedians, and I've worked with some bad ones, man. Woo. Like if you don't have the proper timing and the proper delivery. And I've also worked with a couple comedians that it was weird. I mean, they should have had enough sense. Like this one group that I worked for, there was like elderly people in the audience. There was like three priests, like clergy, and this guy, he was on before me when I'm setting my show up. He's cussing. I mean, he's saying the F word, the F bomb. I mean, you would think you'd have enough sense in your head if you're performing for an elderly group with clergy in the audience to stop the F bombs just at one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would
Uh,
think.
yeah, I mean, it was, you know what? I was embarrassed for him. You know what I mean? It was just disgusting. And the audience did not like it, and everything. And then, and my show is clean. You know what? I've never, did anything off color, even for adults. You know what? And I couldn't tell you, there was quite a few people that came up to me and said, "Oh, that was a nice show you had." But that other guy was vulgar. Yeah, they were complaining, and yeah, that was one of the more shocking times that I worked with a comedian where they didn't have enough sense to cut out the cussing just for, one time. What if you scan the audience and you see clergy in the audience and, elderly people, why on earth would you drop the F bomb all the time? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you might think you might want to clean it up a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I was stunned. I mean, really, I was like, what? But
I've seen those people like that. I mean, it's funny because in the old days, you had people like Abbott and Costello, you had people like Jackie Gleason. They were her, and
right.
they didn't curse. I think
No.
one of the first persons that actually started that cursing was Richard Pryor.
Yeah, right.
But it goes to show too. I mean, there was more. I think in those shows without the cussing and all that, and where they kept it, for all any audience could watch it,
Right.
or
Right.
listen to it. That was a real craft. I think that was a real artistry, and there was some merit to what they were doing, and there was some meat and potatoes to it. Now it's kind of like when people do shows, is that they have to add the vulgarity into it because it seems almost like they're lacking something. Where
Oh,
these shows,
absolutely.
they went a lot more off of like their routine and everything.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's almost like they're relying on a shock value type of thing,
Right.
and yeah, and that's unfortunate. One of my things on YouTube, if you find it on there, I'm doing a little stand-up comedy thing at a like. There's a buddy of mine. He's a very good friend of mine. I've actually known him since the second grade, and it was his lifetime ambition to actually go up and do stand-up comedy. So I told him, well, let's look around here in Pittsburgh. I'm sure there's a couple open mic places. And so my wife checked around, and sure as heck, we did find one. And so I told him about it, and I told him what time and everything, what day, and he said, "Oh, okay, that sounds cool." So what you had to put together was a 7-minute act. So I told him, "Well, listen, if you do that, I'll put together a little stand-up magic act, and so we'll get each other on film and stuff." And so he goes, "Oh, okay, cool." So my wife told all her friends about it and everything. He calls me like about 4 days before. He goes, I'm not going to do it. I said, "You got to be kidding me. This was your idea." And so my wife told all her friends. So I told my wife, I said, "Well, maybe your friends forgot about it, because that's not my lifelong ambition. What I do magic shows almost every day. And about 2 days before, her friends were calling. Well, when are they going to be there? What day is that? So yeah, so they still came. I said, all right, I'll do it. And you know what? I'm actually on YouTube. If you search Comedy Club magician Chuck Caputo, I'm doing a 7-minute stand up thing. And I tell you what, it's you know what? I didn't do anything, of course, anything off color. It wasn't vulgar, and I was really older than most people there. That was about 3 years ago. I'll be 58 now, so I was about 54, 55. And the average age of the comedians in there were about 20, 22, 24, and every other word was F. I mean, and they talked nothing but uh, it was all politics. I mean that's a couple things that you should avoid right away. You don't bring up politics, and everything. That's exactly what they talked about, and they cussed all the time. It was, and they didn't remember their lines. They had a cell phone with them. They scrolled down, and they're always looking at their cell phone. I mean, wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the craftsmanship has gone out of
Oh,
stuff
that
like
was
that. And you even see it in music too. They use that, in music, everything's, swear words, and in movies you see swear words and nudity and
yeah,
and I'm not a prude or anything, but I had an issue with, say, like, just for an example, like the Game of Thrones series.
right, right.
I thought it's a good series. That the books are obviously popular, well written. They could have been a great story. There was no need for all the gratuitous nudity and all that in there. And to me, when you have shows that do stuff like that, it's that they're trying to use that to lure people in and keep them in. And I'm always kind of like leery about that, because shouldn't you be using like your story to do that?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stuff was plummeted, man. The quality of stuff in the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. But like I told my wife, I said, you're gonna expect all kind of cussing at this place and everything, so don't be shocked. I told, her and her friends, just to get them prepared. And man, was I right. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, you could grab a movie from the 40s or 50s, no cussing, no nudity, no special effects, and you're engaged the whole hour to 2 hours
Exactly.
just on the storyline and the amazing job that the actors are doing. Even if you get a B movie,
That's right.
like a B horror movie or something, man, you're engaged that whole time, because it's great.
You're right. You're right. There's a movie that I watched the end of today. I love this movie. It's like in my top 5 movies, Shawshank Redemption, and
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah.
the ending always. It's just so cool. When Morgan Freeman meets up with Tim Robbins, and so he's explaining, that some birds were too pretty to be caged because their feathers were too bright and so forth, and then he goes down to Mexico and he meets up with them. But the whole story behind it was really cool, how he escaped, and the warden and nobody else noticed. They didn't notice his shoes. He had his shoes on, and it took him 20 years to chip through the wall, and he would drop pieces out in the lot when he walked outside, and it was an amazing story. That was just a cool story.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely on my top list as well of movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of it has a lot of movies, even the last 20 years or more. I think really kind of like in the 70s it really started, and it really blew up in the 80s with just going, the whole decade of decadence really stood its name, because there was just so much, nudity, swearing,
Oh
violence, and it just
man.
it just continued to get worse than that. And there's movies that were good with good stories, and I think a lot of them were ruined by
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
You know what? Both of my kids, well, my oldest son Michael's 29, my other son Nick, the other boy is 26. And back when they were in, middle school or whatever, they gave us a list of a few CDs to buy them for Christmas. So we went up to the whatever and we bought them. And Christmas comes and they pop it in their player, and I'm hearing all this foul language. I said, "What? You know what? Yeah, I just, you know what? I didn't know. This is about 15 years ago. We took it back up there and said, listen, I didn't know that this was on there. And the guy said, well, there's a mature stamp here. Didn't you see that? I said, no, listen, you know what? I'm from the 70s, man. They didn't, the worst word once in a while was hell or damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? So the guy understood. So he gave us a refund. I said, listen, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cause any trouble, but this is ridiculous, and I mean, it was just unreal that young kids are submitted to that kind of crap. and it's allowed to go on, man. It's just desensitizing kids. You know, I mean, like you said, I don't want to sound like a prude or something, but man, it's just out of control.
You know, and I think it is too, is that they're subjugated to it at an early age,
Early,
and it kind of ruins their creativity as they're growing. And you
absolutely.
see it as adults, like, and you see it going on generation after generation. Like, there's creativity's lacking anymore in our society. I mean, you look at the
Yeah,
creativity of, say, of like the mail order stuff.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, who the heck comes up with that? You know, that's crazy. And the gimmick and all that, there's like nothing of that today. The creativity's gone out of these kids. You know, it's just whatever's on their phone or their computers, and you
Yeah,
know,
it's
then they
sad.
turn to video games or movies, and it's just vulgar language, nudity, violence, drug use. You know, recycle.
Yeah,
There's no creative attributes to
no,
any of this stuff. And
I
if you
agree.
ask them, oh yeah, it is creative, but when you look at it from the outside, it's not creative. Like, they don't understand what actual creativity is.
No, that's been lost. No, I agree. I agree 100%. You know, the video games, all they do is shoot each other and act crazy. I mean, I just never seen anything like it. It's unreal, you know. I mean, like I grew up playing Space Invaders and Pac-Man, you know.
Yeah. And I tell you what, you know, and I still like playing video games, you know, once in a while. It's not something that I'm, you know, addicted to or I have to do it. And I grew up, you know, in the late 80s and 90s, you know, playing video games, but it was always like something that, okay, hey, it's raining outside. There's, you know, I don't feel
Yeah,
like watching TV. So yeah, I'll play some video games.
yeah, that's right. You weren't obsessed with it where you played with it
Yeah.
23 hours a day. Yeah, yeah, because these kids were even going into convulsions. I think I read a few years back they were staring at the graphics so long. I mean, it was actually making them convulse. It's just not healthy, you know.
Oh, and I've seen kids too. You know, their parents take away their game consoles or their phones, and they go crazy.
They go crazy.
And it's
Yeah,
like, you know, what the heck? When I was young and got punished, if my parents, you know, took away something that I enjoyed, you know, which I didn't have you know, as a kid, didn't have a TV, or obviously cell phones weren't out, or, you know, if they took away the game console, it was like, okay, you know, I'm being punished. It wasn't, you know,
yeah,
that big of a deal, but
it wasn't.
these
Yeah.
kids, like, it's like the end of the world for them. Like, I don't think they would react like that if a family member died.
No, no, you're right. Yeah, you know, it is crazy, you know, and it's weird because, you know, and they're not outside like we were. I mean, man, we were out. I think we talked about this in the previous podcast. We were out, like on weekends from early morning until dusk. We were catching football and riding bikes and stuff like that. And I think a lot of kids just don't do that, and that's not healthy, man. You know, I mean, even at my age, I get out and walk about 2 miles a day and everything. I mean, you
Oh,
have to.
you know what? I was just thinking about that the other day. I was watching a show. It was the Bone Janglers Daytime Dungeon on the Monster Channel. And if anybody out there's never seen it, he does like an hour program. Oh, excuse me. Every once in a while, and he got all these like different shorts on there, and commercials from, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, and all that. So he had a commercial in there. I think it was from, gosh, it had to be either maybe late 50s or early 60s, of this Marks, and it was by Marks, and it was of this belt-fed machine gun that came with other like army equipment, and kids running through the woods and
Yeah,
playing army. And I was just watching it, and it kind of jogged some memories of when I was young, you know, because that's a lot of what I did was go out and play army. And but
absolutely.
but then there was another commercial for I think it was Mark's Toys as well, for Cowboys and Indians. And I said, man, I remember, it really started jogging my memory. I said, man, I remember having this Indian set where it came with a bow and arrow, and the
Oh, I
arrows
remember,
had
I
like
remember that. I remember that. Yep,
the
yep,
suction cups on it, and you had a
yep,
tomahawk, a
yep.
headband with a feather. I said, and then I had a cowboy one where you had like a sheriff's badge, and then the cap gun.
The cap gun. You had a
I said,
holster.
oh man, I remember playing that all the time. You go out and play Cowboys and Indians, you go out there, you know, build your forts and all that,
Yeah,
and man, it was a
right.
great time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, those days are gone, man. I don't know. You'll be labeled as as a school shooter or something. Kids can't be carrying around any. And it's a shame, which is true because it became such a violent society. I guess I don't know. Things have changed.
But you know what? I remember even being in when I was in middle school, and I went to a Catholic middle school. So this was maybe around third or fourth grade in the mid '80s, and we would bring our cap guns to school,
Hmm.
and we'd keep them in our I can't remember what we had. It wasn't lockers or anything, but it was like kind of like
your pockets, Joe.
no, we had like little baskets in the room where you would put like your coat, hat, and gloves.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Would this be the one when the teacher called you one day, say, "Hey, Joe, I found this in your basket. This is a basket case."
Yeah. But they didn't care. At come recess time, you would grab your cap guns and you would run around the lot outside playing, whatever. You do that nowadays, you're getting expelled from school and probably, sent to jail.
They'll put your parents in jail.
Yeah.
Guys, when I was little, you ever seen that flying saucer pistol that's usually from Star Trek? It has like a Star Trek not the case. It's the card on it. You sometimes they have them on eBay, and it's a pistol that shoots the little round. They're about the size of a dime, little flying saucers. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I've seen guns like that. I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about, but I've seen ones that shoot those
on eBay. I think they've had it for a couple of years. This one guy actually selling one. So if you look up for the, I think they're called the flying saucer, and it's kind of like, I guess, yellowish and brown. The funny thing about that is that I had one when I was a kid, and when I came out of school, I'm playing with it, and this girl out of nowhere from the public school across the street from where I lived, she took the thing, banged me over the head with it, and took off with my pistol, man.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, flying saucer gun.
Yeah,
little yellow discs. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I had them, man, and they whacked me over the head, bro, and I never saw it again. I think it went into the orbit, probably.
He's probably listening to the podcast now, holding that gun, just laughing. I still got it.
Like, ooh, that's a stupid little kid I took it from.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, it was nothing at that time to have, your cap gun at school or anything like that, or even running through your neighbors' yards, playing. Now you step in your neighbor's yard and it's the biggest thing on the block. They're hating you and your family and calling the police. And
I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's crazy.
What the heck happened, Eddie? What happened?
No,
you're full of wisdom. Tell us.
No, I was gonna say, when I was little, I remember, I guess I was around 8 or 9, and my friend sent away, and then he gave it to me too. He sent away for a dart pistol. I think it came from gosh, I don't remember if it was what magazine it was. It might have been Soldier of Fortune, because he had a copy when we were like 8 or 9 years old, and he ordered this cap gun. It was like, I think it was like $4, and it was kind of funny because it was spring loaded, but the way it worked, it was the heavy duty plastic black pistol, and then you pushed up on the floor, you pushed in the front of it, like the whole barrel will be pushed in. And then in the back, it had like a little screw that you unscrew and stuck in either a BB, not a BB, I'm sorry, a pellet or a dart. And then when you pull the trigger, the thing will go poop and the whole barrel will come flying out. The funny thing about that is that if you put that accidentally towards your face and that thing comes out, you would have grown up with at least 2 less teeth.
Wow.
Because it was so powerful, that little thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many toys that we had younger that.
Oh, dangerous.
Yeah, there's no way that they would be on the market now. And if you tell kids about them, they're like, there's no way that existed. I mean, I remember we had the original lawn darts, and we would be in the backyard playing lawn darts. Or, relatives and parents would be drunk throwing lawn darts during parties. It was. Who cares?
You didn't know you were 2 seconds away from getting your eyes knocked out. It's
what's funny now, and I see too nowadays, is you see kids out riding bicycles and they look like they just got done playing, goalie for an NHL team. They got the helmet on, they've got shoulder pads on, knee and elbow pads, gloves, all this stuff. And I'm saying, man, we used to build our own little ramps in the front yards, jump those and wreck with kind of equipment on,
with a banana seat bicycle, remember?
With a banana seat, with my banana seat bike. You know how many times I've wrecked that thing, man, into parked cars, poles,
Oh
you
yeah.
name it, man. And you get scraped up, you throw some peroxide or iodine on it, a
Yeah. Oh
Band-Aid, and you're good to go.
yeah. I remember coming
Yeah.
down a hill one time. I lost the brakes in one of my bicycles and I slammed into a phone pole. Oh man, it was ridiculous. And there was a big pile of dog crap. It was everywhere. It was
Are you sure that wasn't yours?
The
probably, yeah, it was disgusting. And I was all fed up. I said, I'm not riding this bike anymore. I had to change the brakes and everything. And I never trusted those hand brakes. Those hand brakes were something.
well,
Yeah, those went out a lot. I always liked the ones where you would press the
Backwards.
yeah, that's what
Those
the
were
yeah.
better.
banana seats had.
Yeah.
The banana seats had the pedal, on the back tire.
Yeah,
Yep. Oh yeah.
they were much better. They were much those hand ones always went on me, man. I was
And
sick of it.
if you were going too fast and accidentally hit the front brake, you'd flip over the handlebars.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. But like you
I
said,
had that happen. I know what Joe is talking about. I whoop pow, and I flipped right over, man.
Oh,
yeah,
I've done that several times on those when I was young, and even like with skateboards too, and roller skates. We never had any pads. If you got into a wreck or something, you just learn not to do that again. you know.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
all. That's all. And then when kids would get into a fight, it was over. There was no kind of an animosity or gangs and forming gangs and after school stuff. I mean, it was over with and it was done. And
Yeah,
it
and
was
usually you were friends by the end of it too.
yeah. Now these schools, oh, it's ridiculous. They got metal detectors. Prior to COVID, I was doing a lot of school shows. You'd have to actually bring your driver's license in and they'd scan it, they'd check it, I guess, to see if you have any criminal history, and then they'd give you a printout like a sticker you'd put on your jacket or whatever. I mean, it's just a whole different ball game. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god.
mean it's crazy, man. I look back and I'm sure you guys too at how school was, and none of the doors were locked; they were open, all
Yeah,
day. Anybody could come in, but there was
right.
never any problems. It
No.
was, and if there was a fight, the next day you were friends with the
Yeah,
person, or
yeah.
there
I
was
don't.
no school shootings and stuff like that.
Nah, it's ridiculous. It really is. It's you know what? It's a sad state of affairs. It
Kids
really is.
need to start buying more mail order stuff from House of the Unusual and Magic Tricks.
correct.
That's
You
right.
know, it's funny when we were talking about guns in the mail. I mean, that I mentioned before. When Honor House was going out of business in the '80s, stayed under the name Guaranteed Distributors, and they used, I guess, the fame of wrestling and stuff. In every wrestling magazine you would get in the '80s, you would get this pellet firing pistols for like $4.95. And let me tell you too, those pistols were advertised in Popular Science, in Popular Mechanics, all the wrestling magazines. And the best one is that they were advertised in Guns and Ammo and Guns magazine, which was funny. Guns is, the actual magazine named Guns.
Hmm.
And it was phenomenal because anybody who saw them, I'm sure they sold thousands. I wonder how many wanted their money back when they got a plastic gun that looked and felt like a real gun, but it was plastic, of course. And the pellets were little yellow plastic bullets that you could shoot it into the palm of your hand. But they were phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I think they sold, I mean, let's see, Honor House went out of business in 1984. And up to like 1997, I think, if I'm correct, Guaranteed Distributor was still selling those pistols.
Wow.
And the best part is if you go on eBay right now, I don't know if the guy sold it or not. There's one that was sold by a company called Lakeside Products. And there was also Brad's Fun Shop, which those were mail order companies from the 80s that appeared in wrestling magazines. And Lakeside Products sold a duplicate of the, I would say, Clint Eastwood 44 Auto Mag from the movie Sudden Impact, where he had the Auto Mag. One day I went to a flea market and I bought like 6 of them, all plastic, but a really nice looking toy. And it shot plastic BBs. But I'm talking about the BBs that shot, not BBs, pellets. They were shaped like a real pellet, but they were plastic. And some guy is selling one on eBay right now for like I think 100 or $279, and I'm like, is this guy crazy? I mean, I bought the thing for like $4.95, and I bought like
Yeah.
7 of them. But you could see the type of quality that was put into these things, and they were very well made. It actually, you look at it and it looks like a real thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what, I just meant to bring up the subject that Honor House actually survived selling those for many, many years after.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, it was cool. All right, Joe, did you want yours and you didn't get it when you were a kid?
I never got nothing.
I never got nothing.
No, I tell you what was cool though is we always got, because I lived pretty close to two little convenience stores that always had rack toys. So that's where I bought a lot of, my stuff there. And, you had a lot of those cool rack toys at the time, that were cap guns or knives or, different stuff to play with outdoors. And it was fairly cheap. So that was
Did you guys ever buy the $1 cork gun? It was like a little rifle.
Oh, those are neat. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it was like $1. You clip with the little string attached to the back.
Those were cool. I like those a lot.
Yeah.
When I was in Cuba, my grandfather used to make me one particular gun out of bamboo, and it was phenomenal. He would get one of the really thick bamboos, the one like 2 or 3 inches across.
Yeah.
And he would, with a rod or something, break all the knots, because you know how bamboo have different knots. He break it and he make it hollow, and then what he would do is he cut in the bottom, kind of like an area where you could stick a match in. And what he did was he would put, I think, if I'm correct, I think he would put because he did this in Cuba for me a couple of times. He put like a piece of paper or something, but he would get those rocks that you beat together and they ignite.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Phosphorus, I think they call like phosphorus rocks, whatever it was. And when you drop it down the barrel and you took a match and you lit the bottom, it was like a cannon. The thing will go like pow, huge explosion. And that thing would fly up who knows how far. And that was done with a bamboo stick,
That's pretty
Hey
cool.
guys, we got about 3 minutes left here, so let's get in some final last words here for the week. And Chuck, we'll start it off with you.
All right. Hey, it was great conversation tonight. It's always a pleasure coming back. I wish everybody a continued happy January, and God willing, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. And try to have your wife on next week. We got to get her back on. She was fun to talk with.
Yeah, she is. She's a lot of fun. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, or she's retired now. She has the
That's true.
One person that was good was Todd Mitchin. He wanted, of course, blab about his stuff. And he was going to be telling the world how he's doing all this and how excited. And due to the fact of the disappearing car trick, and that car trick, I wound up not being able to contact him, and I think he fell asleep. He goes to sleep very early, and he gets tucked into bed at a certain time by the steamer. So you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to bother him.
Hopefully next week we could get him on.
We can have him
see
on.
What's new with all his seed monkey, because he got a lot of stuff going on, and they're putting out a lot of new products. And I'm sure we haven't talked with him for a while on here, so it'd be nice to get caught up and see what's new.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to punish him because he's designed a lot of stuff for them, and he's kind of fallen short in the House of the Unusual there,
Absolutely. Well, hey guys, thank you for being on. Everybody out there in podcast land, huge thank you for listening to us and for continuing to listen to us babble on here every week about whatever we pretty much feel like it. Hey, if you want to be a guest on here, you don't have to be a expert in anything. If you just want to talk about the stuff that we talk about, let us know, man. Go to houseoftheunusual.com and drop us a line, and we'll get you on here to sit down and have a conversation with us. Otherwise, check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to our channel. Give us a good review if you so choose to. And catch us every week, because we're doing this every week. And don't forget about YouTube. Tons of great videos on there. So if you like our podcast or don't like our podcast, still check out YouTube, because you'll absolutely love it. So thanks again for joining us, Chuck, Eddie. Thanks for being on. Great conversation, and we will see you guys next week. Good night.
Right.
Yes, and God bless. And very important too, guys. We're also on a new platform called Reason Podcast. reason, like the word reason, and they just sent me a letter. We're on that as well. So, all right, everybody. God bless. Goodbye.
All
All
right.
right,
God bless.
sounds
Take
good. Good
care.
night.
Bye bye.